welcome to Straight Out of Eden. This week we are having a chat with my good friend Adam Charles. And Adam, before we begin, we are going to do chat in a hat.
Yes.
So that's 1 minute of fast fire questions,
Wow.
and you have to answer the first thing that comes to your mind. Are you ready?
I think
First
so.
of all, tell us where your hat's from and why you've chosen it.
My hat is from France. I've chosen it because it represents me. I love.
Parlez-vous français?
Oui. Yes. Baguette.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did we not do the ramener le cul de la maison?
Yes, we did.
We did.
Allez, le bleu, allez.
Excellent. Okay, here is your 1 minute quick fire questions.
That wasn't it? Oh,
no.
okay.
Quick fire questions. Ready? Go. What's your favourite book?
Malcolm X's autobiography.
Who's your favourite music artist?
Probably Travis Scott.
Favourite sport?
Football.
Favourite football team?
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
no, it was the first thing that came to mind.
Fine.
Favourite-
Arsenal.
Oh, unfortunate for some. What's the best Netflix series that you have watched in your TV life cycle thus far?
Netflix, you said specifically, so House of Cards.
Okay, pasta or rice?
Rice.
Curry goat or curry lamb?
Go.
Oh, okay. And wine or beer?
Wine, man. Beer's dead.
Favourite gin?
Miller's thing. Miller's.
Martin Miller's.
Martin Miller's. Yeah.
Can't claim to be a gin connoisseur.
I've never done that in my
If
life.
you could drive any car in your fantasies or in real life, what would it be? 3,
Bugatti.
1. Well done. What was the thing that you stumbled on? I'm going to take my hat off now because it's hot.
Oh yeah, please. My favourite sport.
Okay, why would it not be football?
Because I prefer athletics to football.
You prefer performing athletics or prefer watching
Watching
athletics?
and performing.
Do you have a favourite athlete?
Yeah, man, Justin Gatlin.
Oh, okay. I thought you... Okay.
I'm
why-
Usain Bolt.
And
Yeah.
why Justin Gatlin?
Because he beat the odds, and when the pressure was on, he stood up to the world and told them, "Shh," and I respect that a lot, man. And he's fought his.
You like an underdog.
I
think,
do.
don't
I
you?
love an underdog story. I do, because I am an underdog.
At what point in your life do you think that you were the underdog?
In school.
Okay, woe is me. Why were you the underdog in school?
So I used to be in this English class.
Did you not get the same grades as me?
Exactly.
Right. Okay, so you weren't the underdog.
I was the underdog.
Okay.
I was predicted grades which didn't reflect my true
In
ability.
English.
In English.
In English, this is the man that stood on a table, on a chair, to shout at me to disagree with me and my opinions.
And this is what I'm saying.
And you wonder why she gave you a lower grade.
I felt like I had to
Predicted
do
grade.
that.
You had to
because-
stand on your chair to debate me.
Yeah.
At 15 years old.
Yeah, because people weren't listening to
This
me.
is also the English teacher that purposely put us in the same group so that we could both reach our maximum potential.
It's true.
And did we or did we not both reach maximum potential?
That's besides the point.
I think you only got 1 star, didn't you? Not both.
Wow. Okay.
But again, not the underdog at all. Adam is extremely talented and has been for most of his life. I just think a little bit lazy at times.
Okay. That's interesting coming from you, but
Oh no, I'm incredibly lazy. Intellectually, yeah.
Oh, really?
Academically complacent, absolutely.
Okay.
Definitely.
Interesting.
When Adam is not complacent, he is hugely creative and pushes himself and is a critical thinker.
You just
Sets himself all sorts of targets.
describing me better than I could describe myself.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about your creative work outside of your professional life.
I am on, I guess you could say, 2 YouTube channels. One called The Fifth
Gets
Official.
noticed in the street.
Yeah, that has happened to me.
Asked for a picture.
Yeah, that
With
did
him.
happen to me too. I don't know why. He did it. Because he just embarrassed himself and me. So
Did you do it though?
of course I did. Of course.
Tell us about your football channels.
Yeah. So the first one's called The Fifth Official. The second one that I appear on is The Football Terrace with a guy called Terry Fleurs. And yeah, we just talk about football like a lot of men seem to do. And one day we decided with The Fifth Official TFO, we were just arguing about football. We said, I wonder if anyone else would agree with us. And then we decided to get some equipment and record it, put it on YouTube, and see what other people thought.
And where can people find you on YouTube?
Literally the fifth, as in FIFTH official.
Great.
And on Twitter at TFO show.
Amazing.
Yeah, man.
Do you enjoy that?
Yeah, it's good. You have to take the rough with the smooth. I've been insulted numerous times. People tell me that I'm an idiot. Faced a bit of racial abuse sometimes as well. So you have to be able to have quite thick skin and I guess deal with that. But yeah, the chance to regularly meet up with friends and discuss stuff and have fun and meet people that you wouldn't ordinarily meet, I think is really good as well. So.
Do you find that you are more in the firing line of racist abuse on a public platform than more generally? Or do you think it's just highlighted?
I think it's probably highlighted because, you know, the guy I mentioned, Terry, as well, he gets quite a lot of abuse. And I think seeing my skin colour is the first thing that you can draw for if you're going to abuse me. Whereas people, I guess, have to get a bit more creative in their abuse with him, which is why they'll talk about wishing his son gets cancer or something like that.
Good Lord.
So it's a bit wild.
It's tough living a life on the public platform, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I guess so. I wouldn't necessarily say I'm in the public eye like that.
But you definitely get recognised in public.
Yeah,
like in a McDonald's in Wembley, and this guy was like, "Oh, I'm," and this was early on in your YouTube career. And this guy said to you, I don't know, I know you. Oh, I knew that guy, and you were embarrassed.
I was.
You were because I had literally just been teasing you about being noticed as well.
You did.
And then you didn't give us free McDonald's though.
He's not going to do that. I'm not a superstar.
But people want their picture with you.
Yeah, anyway, it doesn't.
Okay. Anyway, so what I would like to know is you get a lot of publicity. You get a fair amount of attention for various reasons when you're in public, being noticed and being a visible face in the crowds. So how do you manage that in kind of tension with your faith and with your private life? How do you separate that which is private and that which is public? And where does your faith fall into that?
I think it's important to know boundaries. I don't really think I've consciously tried to separate my public and private life. There have been instances where, you know, people have seen me out, and I'm, you know, maybe doing things that they haven't seen me do online. But I don't mind that, because I guess in that sense you get to build a better picture of who I am, which kind of, I guess, would add to the entertainment value of them seeing me on screen, I suppose. So that's fine. But how my faith comes into that is I just try to work it in wherever. I think there's been times on YouTube where I've prayed about a result for Arsenal. I
mean, we could have a theological debate about the integrity of that, but we won't. We won't.
And I've said, "Oh God, please let this happen." Or I've used analogies between Arsenal and me being at church and stuff like that. So
so you don't hide it.
No, of course not.
But do you think that you have a responsibility as somebody with a public platform to, speak out on issues of faith more, or do you think that that's a separate issue to football? Do you think that?
I definitely don't think they're separate, and
right.
I think it's interesting because a lot of people say that politics and football are separate too, and I completely disagree. I think football is a part of life, and because it's a part of life, other aspects will naturally come to the fore in those areas as well. Although I think I'm quite outspoken, even that I still don't think would necessarily make me the spokesperson for faith-related issues or Christian-related issues. It's the same way people have been they were clamoring for Ovi to speak out on the Black Lives Matter protest. And when he did, he said something so stupid. It was like, why did we ask him to speak about it in the first place? So yeah, I think just because I am a Christian, it doesn't, or one person is a Christian doesn't necessarily mean that they should feel a necessity or an obliged to speak out on such issues, although I do. Because I do think it's important. It's something that I think I can add weight to or add value to.
Do you think, because there's a phrase, a turn of phrase, I suppose, that says, you may be the only gospel that somebody ever reads.
Yeah.
And again, with that public platform, with an audience of upwards of 1,000 people each week, do you not feel some form of obligation to communicate the gospel in that, or has that just never occurred to you?
No. I think it has occurred to me, but I'm kind of wary of doing it because I've seen, for instance, take Stormzy.
Okay.
He has, I think it was 2017, he released an album called Gang Signs and Prayer.
Yeah.
Now, to my mum and generation and my grandma, those generations, that is a complete oxymoron.
Right.
How can you be throwing up gang signs but then also doing prayer? So I think people who have a public platform need to be wary of the message that they send out and how people are viewing that. But I think it's also important to be honest. And so while some people might look at that and say it's an oxymoron, I will look at Stormzy and say I respect you for being honest, because there are plenty of people who live a double life and are one way in church, one way outside of church, which doesn't allow it. I think makes people feel alienated.
Okay.
So yeah, I think I do feel that responsibility, and I do try to preach the gospel, even though I hate that phrase.
I think that's what Jesus commands us to do.
Yeah, I know, but it's
make disciples of all nations.
I think it's a bit cringe, man. I think it's really...
What's cringy? But this is what I think is really interesting, because I have a very biased view and a very skewed view of this. That is my professional capacity, to preach the gospel, to make disciples of all nations. And yet Jesus makes that command of all of his disciples, not just those who go on to become church leaders.
Yeah.
So we are all commanded to take part in that evangelism and the evangelization of the world. What is it that's so cringy now that wasn't then? Or was it cringy then and actually it's something that people have to kind of get over themselves and say, I'm going out of my comfort zone? Is it is it uncomfortable for everybody at first?
Probably. Because I've been evangelizing before.
Yeah.
On Gascoigne Estate in Barking, if anyone knows it. And I've been rejected. I've had doors slammed in my face. People, you give a link to someone, you see them walk 10 meters down the road and then it's on the floor. So I've seen it happen. I've had it all, but I think there's something I learned during my masters where the lecturers were like, the medium is the message, and I think it's important to package what you're saying in the correct way and in the appropriate way for for the recipients of that message. And I think preaching the gospel, a lot of people don't know what that means.
Yeah, sure.
And so if I'm going around saying to people, hey, can I preach the gospel to you for a minute? I just don't think they're going to really take it in. So I think it's better to...
accents that are not yours.
Yeah, that's how you have to evangelize, didn't you know? That's probably
I know your French voice might have worked a bit better.
Oh, no, see, anyway, yeah.
I didn't work very well.
Don't worry about that. So like I said, I think it's important to just be able to switch it up. And I think preaching the gospel is a very archaic phrase and is associated with lots of things that people don't like about church. And I think it's probably important to make church a bit more relatable to people. Okay,
and how does the church become relatable?
I think by being more flexible, first and foremost. I think...
Flexible in what? Where is the church inflexible?
Yeah, it's difficult.
Because this is what really grates on me. People say, oh no, we need to be relevant, we need to be flexible. And actually, there's at the heart of it, the gospel, the Bible is hugely flexible. Look at all the people that God opts to work through redemptively. He chooses people like Noah, who drinks too much. He chooses Moses, who runs away all the time. And
Drinks too much?
Yeah,
what?
He's a drunk. He chooses David, who's a blooming adulterer and murderer and all sorts of things. Womanizer, David. He works through all sorts of people to bring about redemption. So where is God being inflexible? All he's saying is, I want to build a relationship with you. I want to love you. And once I love you, here's some discipline to help you remain in that love and benefit from that love. And then people say, oh, the church is so inflexible. God's so inflexible. God is all merciful.
Yeah. So listen to what
But we grew up in different churches as well.
There is that, but then you said the church is inflexible, God is inflexible.
Okay.
There's two different things there.
Yeah.
God is not inflexible.
Yeah.
God is merciful and gracious. The church isn't. The church is unrelenting in its criticism sometimes.
Yeah.
And again, I think that is a lot of what people see. That's the view that a lot of people hold. They'll say that pastors are too concerned with money. They'll say that people are too inflexible when it comes to attitudes around sex and relationships. That people are trapped in loveless marriages because divorce is frowned upon. There's all these types of things at play that the church has traditionally been viewed as archaic and traditional on. But I think it's important to let people know through your approach to them, and even down to using language such as preaching the gospel, or not using language such as preach the gospel.
So we need to make church palatable.
I think so. And it's unfortunate to say, because I think it should always be palatable. But look at Jesus. Jesus himself wasn't palatable.
That's what I was just about to say. You know, a lot of what Jesus was teaching was uncomfortable, and a lot of what we hear from church will be uncomfortable because it calls into question our own failings. And we live in a world where you can be a superhero if you really like. You can do whatever you want. You can be a YouTube star, famous within overnight. You know, the world tells you if you want it, you can go and get it. Whereas the Bible says God gave it to you, but you didn't appreciate it quite enough, so you need God to appreciate it. And you can't do it alone. And I just think that's what people are so uncomfortable with. I can't do this on my own.
What do you mean?
That I can't be my own saviour. I can't deal with salvation on my own. As in, I can't be the author of my own salvation. Okay. I can't be my own God. Yeah. And I think that's where people are struggling at the moment. Because we have so much control. I think perhaps not this year, but usually you have so much control over what is going on around you and the life you have. And even when things are taken out of your control, even if you're not a Christian, you still blame God. You didn't think you had control anyway, but now you want to blame him. And I just think that's probably the biggest battle for people in the 21st century. So I think even trying to make it relevant would try and sell God short, or try and package God into, and this is something we've explored anyway, package God into a consumer-friendly service.
But if you don't do that, then you risk people not coming to church.
But let anyone who has ears hear. Some will reject the message. That's what the Bible tells us.
Well, if that's the case, then why...
I'm not saying we shouldn't try and reach people, and I'm not saying that we shouldn't evangelise, and I'm not saying we shouldn't be contextual. I'm just trying to perhaps understand that there's a difference between being contextual and then tailor-making, or, you know, obscuring and cutting down and trimming down God so that it's presentable to people. So when you are sitting there and you're on your YouTube channel and you have thousands of viewers, it's going to be uncomfortable.
What, to talk about God?
Has it been uncomfortable when you have?
I don't think so. And it's interesting because ordinarily, well, prior to meeting so many people, I might not have said this, but it seems that the faith has transcended typical religious boundaries. So I remember one time I got something wrong and I was forced to do a shot on camera, and then in that video a Muslim guy was like, in the Quran, brother, it says that we shouldn't drink, it's haram for us to drink alcohol. And I was like, so this guy must have heard me talk about God before, assuming that I'm a Muslim. I'm not quite sure why. I mean, I don't have a problem with it, but I don't know where he would have got that from. But yeah, for me, it's just you just have to package it in the right way. And I get that you risk watering down the message, but I think it needs to be done in a way that people get and understand and stuff. I'm not even quite sure.
Maybe the change needs to happen in your heart and not the hearts of the thousands of viewers.
What, you mean I need to?
Maybe it's you whose heart needs to be comfortable with evangelizing.
Maybe so. Okay, cool.
Challenging. Sorry.
I'm going to preach the gospel.
I'll hold you to that. Now you made me lose my train of thought. How has your faith changed over the last 3 years? I've seen your faith change. I've seen you change and grow over the last 3 years. But how do you perceive that to have changed?
I think the biggest change came in the last year or so, and that's when I started taking God seriously. And that included reading the Bible more, praying more, even though I definitely don't pray enough, and also learning how to pray. Again, I think one of the things I heard growing up, or having grown up in church, was people using the most lovely language to talk to God. Dear, holy, most precious, magnanimous name. I'm like, cool, that sounds fantastic, but what are you saying? And people can reel off scriptures like it's going out of fashion. And again, it's fantastic because your memory recall is brilliant. But what are you saying? And again, if you're praying in front of a church, I can't get with that. I don't know what you're talking about. So I've learned how to pray. And it's something that I avoided for a long time, especially praying in front of other people, because it's something I was a little bit scared of, I'll admit. But yeah, in doing that, I've developed a relationship with God, and I think I've seen benefits from it. Not that that's why you should pray, but I also did a fast. I did my first ever 24-hour fast, which killed me, and I love food. So much. So that was really difficult. Did a Daniel fast as well. So there's been lots of things that have happened over the past year that I think have helped me get closer to God. And
you spoke about the benefits of that. What are some of the benefits of that?
I've just seen like faith. Okay, I don't know if you can directly relate the two, but
we have very differing theologies on this. But go.
I've been flashed by numerous speed cameras.
No.
Yeah.
You don't need to be saying that. This is going online.
Yeah, it's fine.
A public platform.
I've been flashed by numerous speed cameras. Never been caught. And immediately I'll be praying. I'll say, God, please.
I don't think that's how God works.
I didn't mean it. There was one time, the most recent one, for instance, didn't even see the speed camera. I was doing 27 because I thought it was a 30 zone. Found out it was a 20, and I was like, God, please, you know my heart.
You know my heart that I've done it so many times.
Whoa. You know my heart. You know I didn't mean to speed. Please don't let it come through. What? Even to now, it still hasn't come. And I know that's I guess a tongue-in-cheek example.
It's not how I think God works. But yeah.
But I think I've just seen blessings over the past couple of years, and I guess, as I say, that's a bit of a facetious example, but yeah, God, I can see His favor in my life. I can see the fact that He has blessed me. Even when I think I'm totally undeserving, because I think there's so much work that needs to be done on myself, but yet He still gives me the opportunity day by day to do better, and I'm so grateful for that. And I think those are the things that have, I guess I'm maybe they always happened, but I'm more attuned to see.
What do you think you were like before?
Scumbag, man.
You think you were a scumbag?
Yeah, I think I was a scumbag. I don't think I treated people very nicely. And I think I perhaps saw people as transactional. What can I get from you? What are you going to offer me?
We once had a big argument about that. When you were at Cardiff still and I was at Cambridge.
Yeah.
And I remember, I think Was that when I proofread an essay? He said, "Can you proofread this essay for me?" I said, "Yeah, sure. When's it due?" I don't think I said that. I said, "I'm going to proofread it on such and such a day when I've got enough space in my diary." And you said, "Yeah, fine." And then I did it, and then the deadline had already passed and you'd submitted it. And I felt really annoyed because I was like, "You've just made me sit and read a 3,000 word essay."
It's only 2,000.
It wasn't only 2,000. You made me read a really long essay, proofread it, give you feedback, and you didn't even need my feedback.
But I still thought it was useful because I used it in future.
But there was a time when I said, this can't be transactional.
Yeah.
Because you can't come to me just because you want something, and I can't, just as much as I don't come to you because I want something out of you. And I think the reason I felt so passionately about that then, and I think perhaps the reason that you've now progressed to this point, but I don't want to project onto you, is that God never comes to us for a transaction. God has already said that that's paid, that's done. I just want to be and dwell in this love and this relationship with you. And I'd always treated friendships and us as, this is, why are you asking for things from me? Why are you not around the rest of the time? And I think that's how our faith changes as well. When we relate to God in the same way of, I don't need to be with God. I don't need to be coming to God to be praying because I've just been flashed by a speed camera. I need to be praying to God every day. I need to be building on that relationship every day because I think it's a much deeper and more sustainable relationship.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, we go to God all the time for things. Well, I certainly did anyway.
Yeah.
Went to God just because I needed stuff. And I guess I had to ask myself, how would I feel if that were me? If I had a friend, never spoke to me throughout the week, but needed me on Saturday to proofread an essay. And I'll be like, okay, I'll do it now. But then it happens time and time again. I'd feel used. And
no,
so,
I didn't feel used.
Of course you didn't, because I did speak to you, so I don't even know.
Not that often.
I don't know why you're making these faces. But yeah, no, I think I certainly did treat God like that, and I don't think it's the right thing to do. Put yourself in God's shoes, if that's possible.
Don't know how possible that is. How about your church attendance? Did you struggle to go to church whilst you were at uni?
I wouldn't say I struggled to go. I definitely could have gone, but I didn't. I joined a church group, so I was able to get churchy stuff, churchy content. But because I felt so aligned to a specific type of church and a type of worship, a type of church experience, I didn't seek out anything else because I thought it would come short of that expectation. So,
do you think that's what church has to do? It has to fit our expectations and suit our tastes and needs?
I think.
Do you think that's why a lot of people struggle at university?
No, I don't think that's why people struggle. I think people struggle because they're given an unparalleled level of freedom that they've never had before.
Okay.
And yeah, it's the novelty. But yeah, I don't think church has to offer that. But I think churches do, and that's why you've seen the proliferation of churches, like throughout
brands and styles.
There's one road that I live near, and on that road alone, it's probably maybe 300 or 400 meters long. There's probably about 8 churches on that road, 8 different churches, all distinct, all individual, and I think, really? Imagine you all came together. And funnily enough, my church is a stone's throw away from that road, so that's 9 if you include a bigger catchment area. Yeah, imagine you all came together and did the one thing. I think people often go to church for reasons other than God.
Such as?
A social experience, a cultural fit, a worship experience as well, certain worship experience. So yeah.
Worship doesn't have to do with... Do you think all of those have nothing to do with God? Because, I mean, like, in Acts chapter 2, the disciples spent every day together in fellowship.
Yeah.
And that's godly fellowship.
True. Yeah, I guess so.
Worship is inherently godly.
But I don't think people equate the two. I think some people... no, I guess so. I guess you're right. I think people sometimes just go to church just for the music.
Oh, and I've heard people say that, and I find it quite interesting when people say, "Well, I'm there just for the music. I don't really believe. I don't really pray."
Yeah.
And I always find that really funny because I think you're immersing yourself in something. They're actually quite inextricable. Like I don't think that you can say, "I'm just coming here. I'm listening and absorbing this music, and I am not picking up on anything else."
Yeah.
Because whether you're conscious to it or not, surely that exposure and that relationship building up is eventually going to, or could see, the transformation of your heart.
And that's why, it could, of course it could, but that's why I say, well, I agree with what you're saying about worship and socializing being inherently godly. But if you don't see that develop in someone's life, then can you really say that
see what develop?
If you don't see, I guess, the examples of Jesus or the goodness and kindness of Jesus.
But it takes time. So
how long does it take?
Well, for you were just a minute ago saying, "Oh, I don't think I was a very nice person. It's only in the last year that I've come to mature in my faith." You are 28 years of age, nearly 30, and you have spent your entire life in church. Mm-hmm. Your entire life, and it's only the last year that your heart has become soft.
Touché.
Yeah.
Guess that shuts me up. Bye, guys.
And this is the guy who wanted to stand on a chair and debate me.
And I won that debate.
You did? So. No, you did not win the debate at all.
Right. Jesus has changed my heart, so I don't know.
It's all right. Big softy. So what would your final pieces of advice or farewell be to people who might be watching this and who might have a public platform, might be considering how do they live out their Christian faith in a public sphere, or perhaps those who are at university, not sure what they're doing, finding a church?
Advice for those people would be different.
People
with a public platform would be to be yourself and don't beat yourself up when you get things wrong. Advice to people at university would be, don't take today for granted. Like I always used to tell myself, it's fine, I can do whatever while I'm at university because I'll sort myself out when my life becomes boring. And I'm stuck in a routine. Funnily enough, when I got out of uni, I was chasing the same highs at university, or outside of university that I got in university. So I still didn't get the chance to mature. Don't take university for granted. You've got so much time in your hands. Use it. Do what you gotta do. Read the Bible. And
finally, this might throw you off. Favorite Bible verse?
Jesus wept.
Is that because it's the only one that you recall?
Huh?
Where did Jesus weep?
Why am I being bold?
Where did Jesus weep?
No, it's actually I always forget whether it's Matthew 5 or
it is Matthew 6.
You don't know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
What is it?
Let me tell you what your favourite Bible verse is. Let's see how well I know you, like the back of my hand.
Let's see.
Therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat or what you will drink, or about your body, what you will wear. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothing? Look at the birds of the air. They neither sow nor reap nor gather into barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not of more value than they? And can any of you, by worrying, and add a single hour to your span of life?
Yeah, fair.
It's Matthew 6:25
yep.
onwards.
It is.
There we go. Ending with, so do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will bring worries of its own. Today's trouble is enough for today.
That's right. That is right.
Do I know you like the back of my hand?
No.
Too well. Thanks for watching, guys. I might get Adam back and we'll have another chat. Yeah, I think that was fun because we have very different church experiences. I think it would be interesting to pull some of those theologies that we each have apart and chat about them. We're going to do that. We'll do that another time. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will speak to you guys soon. Bye for now.